Homeward bound.
Play the theme music.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Tripology. I'm Alan and I'm here with the ever Athenian Adam.
You said homeward bound, mate.
Homeward bound because I was in Turkey. I was with my friend. Last time I told a story on the pod, it was Göbekli Tepe. It was Ephesus.
Mm-hmm.
It was Derinkuyu, the ancient caves, and all of that surmounted to me basically feeling like it was time to go slowly homeward.
It is an interesting thing that us travellers do because we can never just go to a destination. We're always trying to sneak in another trip. So even when you decided that you were going to go home, I've got no doubt you were looking at a map thinking, whoa, which ways can I take?
Yeah, so we're post-Christmas now. Christmas is gone. It's been gone.
Just another year.
When this episode is posted, it will be a distant memory to everyone. But I knew that I wanted to be home for Christmas.
Right.
I planned well in advance. Mm-hmm. Home being where my family
with
are.
the heart.
Yeah. Well, I think we should talk about that because someone recently said, "What's home to you?" And I gave a good answer, I think. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But I knew that I wanted to slowly sojourn towards Scotland for Christmas.
Which is where we now are. You can probably tell from our accents we're in Scotland.
Yeah, and I planned that well in advance. Exactly.
We've gone home. We've gone home. That's home for our English listeners.
Yeah, exactly. So back when I was in Georgia, I was going to go through Turkey and then go from Turkey. I tried to get a bus to Athens.
Turkey for Christmas. Lol. Yeah. Yeah.
Tried to get a bus to Athens.
Right. Yeah.
But the bus was going to be €150.
How much?
€150.
That's a lot of money for a bus.
Only €30.
No brainer.
So went through Turkey east to west. Now, you know me. I basically put a call out to the friends of the world and said, I'm headed back. Does anyone want to see me on my way to the UK?
Go. Has anyone got a place I can stay?
All that sort of jazz.
Wink.
Mate, what was going to be a nice relaxed trip from, slowly nipping home became a right madcap adventure. From Turkey, I spent a week in Athens with one friend, then a week in Milan with another friend. Right. Then I went back to the UK. I went from London to Nottingham to Leeds, back down to London, and then up to Scotland to see my family.
Oh, wow.
The diary I love this about my friends, and I'm never, ever complaining about it because obviously I wanted to see as many friends as possible. But I just bit off so much more than I could chew, just trying to see everyone.
Yeah.
Because I'm going off again. I'm soon going to be flying off to the Americas and doing all sorts of mad, crazy stuff again. So I needed to see everyone in this short slither of time.
And ironically, that $150, well, the difference, $120 that you'd saved goes straight out the window because you probably spent that going up and down England.
Easily.
Yeah.
And some.
And it's an interesting point to make because I often want my trips to make sense logistically.
Yeah.
So if I was to go around Southeast Asia, as I did, when was the last time, years ago, 2015 or whatever, doing what I would consider a backpacking route around Southeast Asia. I've been to countries in the Southeast Asia since then. But I just basically did a big loop a couple of times, stayed on the ground and saw and experienced almost every country. But I did meet people in Vietnam, for example, that were going north and then coming back down south and then going north further than they did the last time and then getting a flight somewhere else, like to Thailand. I just think, isn't it better to just stay on the ground and take your time?
Yeah, and what was going to be a really sensible route from Turkey, then take a bus to Athens, then head closer to the UK, then hop over and then slowly go north to see my parents became this madcap thing that didn't make financial sense at all.
All logistical, all temporal.
Mate, I spent more money.
Oh, God.
In the 3 months I was in Turkey, Athens, Milan, when I stayed in Georgia as well, maybe include that.
Yeah.
Than I did for the entire 10 months I was in South Asia.
Is this you telling me you've been using the company card?
The company card's bone dry.
It's getting rinsed.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think you have to be comfortable with that because some countries or some trips are just more expensive than others.
Totally. Yeah.
Have you justified it or is it eating away at you?
It's eating away at me a little bit, but I got to spend quality time with one of my best friends in Turkey, which was really beautiful.
Amazing.
I got to spend quality time with my friends in Athens, got to spend my oldest friend that I've known since I was like 11 years old. He came out to Milan and we spent a cool week together.
Yeah.
And then some of my best friends up and down the UK. So that's been really fun.
What made you choose Milan?
It was somewhere he'd never been before.
Had you been before?
I'd never been before either.
Why didn't you say that first time?
Because he's travelled a lot around Europe. He's spent a lot of time in Europe. So choosing a European city that he's not been to is a task.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really is it our strong point, Europe? I mean, little spoiler alert, I might be going to Europe for quite a while soon.
Well, this guy used to work as a tour guide, taking people on trips around Europe.
Let's get him on the bloody pod.
Yeah, so exactly.
Wicked.
Come on the pod. He's a fan of the pod and he's a wonderful human being.
And I've not met him yet, but I hope to very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so he was a really good guy to go to Milan with. But Milan itself, I'll tell you, is very, very expensive.
Okay.
And there wasn't, I was glad to have been with him because once you've seen, there was a cool film museum.
Cool.
That was in Turin, actually. There's the Shroud of Turin,
Yeah.
obviously. In Milan itself, it's like there's the amazing cathedral there. But apart from that, it was just good to be with him. We went to a stand-up comedy night.
Yeah. Did you change what you were wearing? I know that Milano is often
I wore
seen
this.
as-
I've been rocking the same look since Milan.
You look cool. You could pass as an Italian for sure. You could pass as most, well, not most races,
That's
obviously.
what they say about me, ethnically ambiguous.
Like a chameleon.
Yeah. So as a European city, Milan, pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was nice to go around eating pizza and drinking coffee
Okay.
and connecting with an old friend.
Mm-hmm.
Went on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
free walking tour. It was really great. Got to know the history of the place.
A free walking tour.
Yeah. I'm a
How'd
big fan
you-
of a free walking tour.
Yeah, how do you rate it? Because they're not something I mean, I did one in Lisbon, which I think I even mentioned on the podcast, but I think I should be more comfortable with doing free walking tours. So I just, maybe I'm a full victim to thinking I know better.
Yeah, well, I'll leave a link in the description of this episode. I think it was called Milan City Tours.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who ran the tour, Marco, he was the best walking tour host I've ever been on a walking tour with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. How long was it?
About 2 hours, long one.
No, in kilometres. That's really cool. Do you think that Milan is a good city to see on foot?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay.
so. You wouldn't want to see it inside a box.
A bird's eye view.
Yeah. And then we did a little trip. We took the train to Turin, and from Turin, there was, I'm interested in the Shroud of Turin, obviously. You can't even see it. It's locked up.
Oh, well, tell me what that is, because I'm not going to pretend I know.
It's the death cloth, apparently, that Jesus Christ was buried in.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's famous because there's like a negative imprint of Christ's face on it.
really?
But yeah, they can't bring it out. And it's as well, it's been carbon dated and it's from
Predates.
medieval times.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Fair enough, but important to see.
But you can't see it.
Oh, it's locked up
I saw a picture of it.
in the same place.
Yeah.
Here's what you would have won. Type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Here's a picture. The shroud is 100 meters beyond this door. Here is a picture of the shroud. Free entry.
Yeah. God. Well, I mean, being sort of the food and drink person on the pod, it would be remiss of me not to ask your pizza order. What do you like to go for? Because we are in danger here of causing a lot of chaos, because I know that there's probably listeners now saying, it's got to be pineapple on pizza.
Are you a fan of the Quattro Stagione?
For
Seasons.
seasons. Am I? Go on, tell me, is it vegetarian?
No, it doesn't have to be. Quattro Stagioni, typically, there's a few little variations, but typically you've got one slice with mushrooms, one slice with pepperoni,
Yeah.
one slice with artichokes, and one slice with anchovies.
Well, I love artichokes and anchovies. So, yeah, we could.
There's a few little variations and things that they can do with it, but that's the typical.
That's what you were ordering.
I love it.
Is that a new thing, though? It's not one of the iconic, sort of well-known original toppings, is it?
It's not like a new invention that they're proud of. They bring out a new one every year, like the iPhone. I wonder what Milan will do in pizza next year.
I'm not someone who digs my heels in and says there should never be pineapple on pizza, but I will never order pineapple on pizza. I just won't.
Because you've got some...
Because I hate it. No, I just have other orders. I just like a margarita pizza, a really good one. With cheese, tomato, bit of basil. Chuck an anchovy on there, please. I like that. Don't mind meat, really, but probably wouldn't order it. Did you have it in Nduja? That's like a spicy sort of sausage, isn't it?
Didn't have it.
No?
Didn't even go near an induja my whole time in Milan.
I like mushroom. I do like lots of pizzas, but maybe I'm a bit of a Puritan. Very rarely will I order something that's like overly cheesy.
Yeah.
I just think they're a little bit obvious and maybe detract from the crust or something else.
My friend who I was in Milan and Turin with has a peanut allergy, a bad one.
Oh, God.
So that changes your perception of food in a city.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have an allergy which has the propensity to cause real damage to you, it becomes a situation where you treat every restaurant as a potential assailant.
Sure, yeah.
No longer are you on the side of the restaurant and it's like, oh, we're going to this restaurant, they're serving us, we're paying them, it's a mutual exchange.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, we're paying money for something and it has the potential to end my life.
Yeah. So how did you fare then? Because I know you like pistachios.
Pistachios are okay now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they didn't used to be okay for him, but recently he's become immune.
Oh, right. So we're not
By hanging out with me. I've eaten so many pistachios all the time, it's slowly developed an immunity.
But we're not saying that people who have a nut allergy can eat pistachios. It's just in your friend's specific experience. He can eat them himself.
He was allergic to them. And then recently, after spending a lot of time in the company of someone who eats pistachios all the time,
And he does.
got a resistance.
Mm-hmm. You're quite talented, actually, when you eat pistachios, because I don't use the same technique as you, do I? I like to peel the shell of a pistachio with my hands and then eat the nut inside, whereas you peel the pistachio with
My ear.
with with your tongue, which I think is very impressive.
Yeah, but I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Says
Put
who?
the pistachio whole in your mouth,
Yeah,
get the nut out,
yeah.
and then spit out the shell.
Oh, yeah.
I
Cool.
would be
Like
interested. Is that the way to eat pistachios?
I don't know.
Write to us, tripologypodcast.com.
Yeah.
There's a form there. Put in the subject line, how to eat pistachios, let us know.
I'm sure there's someone who knows the correct way to eat pistachios. I prefer the way that you eat it, but I just can't nail the technique, and then I end up sort of swallowing them whole or whatever. So
I remember when I was on a road trip in the US when I was about 17, and my uncle who was driving me around, he got some sunflower seeds
right,
and was eating them and spitting them into a cup.
yeah.
And I remember thinking, that's cool, man. I want to do that when I'm older with some pistachios. So I like the idea of something which takes a long time to eat.
Yeah.
And pistachios, sunflower seeds, pomegranates, they all present an oral problem which requires solving.
Yeah.
You
Famously a fast eater, or at least faster than I am. And
Yeah.
you like to use chopsticks, which I guess slows you down.
I try and slow myself down at every opportunity. For example, with the pizza, I would say, bring mine about half an hour after my friends, slow me down. I kind of catch up to him.
Yeah. And eating the pizza with chopsticks.
Yes.
Yeah. How did that go down?
But it was considered offensive.
Do you think you could eat a pistachio with chopsticks?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Not pick one up. I mean, do you think you could peel the shell off with chopsticks?
Well, let's tell the audience this. We have Patreon.
We
It's
do.
after the episode.
Yeah.
In this week's Patreon, I'm
Yeah.
going to take the shell off a pistachio with a chopstick.
Patreon.com/Tripology podcast. Completely improvised. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, and it's $1 you get the audio. Might not be that useful this week, so I would get the $2 and up tier. You
Yeah.
can see video of me peeling a pistachio with a chopstick. If that's not reason to stick around, I don't know what is. But we're going to go on a brief meditation break right now. After that, we'll go back in time. I've got to tell you on how I fared in Athens on my way to Milan. We've not even touched on it.
Amazing.
See you in a bit.
I hate arriving at an airport and needing to prove I have an onward ticket before boarding the plane.
Oh, it's the worst. I don't know when I'm going to leave the country. Okay, I'm a traveller.
That's why instead of buying a flight, we use a flight rental service.
Yeah, it's so convenient. You just find a flight, rent it for 48 hours, show it to the assistant, they let you on the plane.
Onwardticket.com, they're a great company. Click the link in the description. Support the podcast.
Like a pistachio shelled live for money on the internet, allow your conscious mind to return into your brain. From Turkey to Athens to Milan and then to the UK, it was homeward bound. Someone said to me the other day, they went, Alun, what is home to you? I think they were flirting with me. It was sort of like one of those, when someone tries to emotionally connect, I want to hear about your life.
Yeah.
What's home for you? And I think home, really, is always going to be just where my parents and my brother are.
Yeah.
and where my best friends are.
But I would say the same, but, I think people feel pressured to say something profound.
Home is wherever I lay my hat. I'm a vagabond, don't you know? Sometimes a hostel can be home if I put the right shoes in the trolley. It's ridiculous.
I've never said anything more profound than I think what you've just said.
Yeah.
Basically, my parents live in Surrey in the UK, just outside London, and that's where I grew up, and that's home.
When I went travelling, I lived in Manchester.
Yeah.
Went off for 4 years, and I arrived back in the UK on the very day. I should tell this story on the podcast.
Yeah.
On the very day my parents handed over the keys for my childhood home and moved to Scotland.
Ooh,
So
sentimental value.
I got to just see the house, and then we were off.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At first I thought, I'm going to miss it. Like, I haven't really got the opportunity to reconnect with Manchester. But you find very quickly that when we met each other in Mumbai, it made Mumbai feel a little bit like home because my best friend was there. Now that my parents live in Scotland, coming here, even though it's a house I've not spent that much time in, it feels like home because my parents are here.
It is very homely.
Thank you. When I met my friend in Milan, like, there's Sam. He's a bit of home,
Yeah. It's quite a nice way to think about it.
Totally.
Yeah, there's certain aspects of any place you could be, and maybe it's more of a mindset thing. Maybe it's something that happens internally. But there's often a lot of people that I speak to that say, I could never do what you do. I could never travel for a long time because I'd miss home too much. And it's hard to have those conversations with people because it makes us sound insensitive.
When people worry so much about, like, I'm going to get homesick and all that, you can carve out slices of home all the time. I've met people traveling who become like a little bit of home.
Yeah, totally.
I'm heading to a friend's wedding in a few days. Like, I met that person traveling and I think of them as home in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had conversations with people about this exact topic, but I feel like sometimes I'm having to justify or at least, prove that I love my family as much as they love theirs. Because if someone says I couldn't go traveling and do what you do and live the life you live because I care about my family so much, that obviously implies that I don't care about my family as much as they do.
Do you think?
No, I think
it's like an attack.
Well, I think it implies that, but it's definitely not true, is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I straight up had a really close friend to say to me, he was talking about someone else. Right. And he said there's an implied selfishness with sort of abandoning your family and going off.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that not a bit like what I do in your eyes? And he went a bit quiet.
Okay.
I think you have to, in some extent, to some sense, you have to just live your life.
Yeah.
If I come back home twice a year or once a year and spend a good quality time with my family, in many ways, if I worked a 9-to-5 job down in London,
sure.
how maybe I come back once every 3 months.
Yeah.
I spend a weekend here and go back. To my mind, I spend more time with my family as a full-time traveller who comes back once a year and spends a couple of weeks here.
Yeah, and that is real quality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, real quality. And we speak to our family members a lot now, especially with the technological advancements that we can benefit from. I mean, I never feel that far away from anyone at home. And I've got family members that live 45 minutes or an hour down the road that even when I was living here, I never saw. So, I don't know. I don't think people should let that sort of stuff beat them up.
Totally. Yeah, exactly, man.
So go on, tell us about
Athens. In an effort to try and get slices of home on my way to home, I met a good friend of mine in Athens.
Cool.
We sojourned around Athens together. Did we travel elsewhere in Greece? No. Did we want to? Not really. It was very much a pit stop that we'd been planning for a long time. I'd never been to Greece, but I have a real interest in ancient Greek mythology.
Yeah.
I used to watch Disney's Hercules when I was a kid.
Okay. Is that factually correct, do you think? Are you in a position to say that?
In the TV show of Hercules, there's a surprising amount of good Greek mythological information.
Oh, cool.
I found myself knowing a lot about ancient Greece having watched Hercules. Okay. And I'd just been to Ephesus, right, in Turkey.
Yeah.
So had ancient Greek on the brain.
It was on theme. Yeah. That's really cool. But Athens, I imagine, isn't just a load of ruins anymore and a load of statues and that sort of stuff. It's a bit modern.
It is a bit modern, but there's enough ancient ruins that you can buy one ticket that allows you to go to like 7 or 8 ruinous sites around the city.
And they're accessible. Are they any of them quite central to the city?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Right in the middle. The Parthenon, the Acropolis, is like the centerpiece of Athens.
Go on, describe that for us.
The Parthenon, I mean, so essentially it's a big hill on which sat an ancient ruin temple to all the gods, the Parthenon,
Oh,
big,
okay.
big temple.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very ruined now,
Right.
but it is a brilliant example of that kind of architecture that survived more than, say, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. So you can see the structure of it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a temple to Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and obviously the patron of Athens, Athena. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's like off to the side a little bit. There's some wonderful statues.
Well,
It is an amazing sight to behold.
yeah.
It makes up what was the old centre of Athens, and it has an amphitheatre there as well. It was
Nice.
really cool to go and see.
Everything in good condition-ish?
It's an ancient Greek ruin, and
Yeah.
the fact that it is ruinous is maybe part of the charm, but you know, expect to see a ruined temple.
Yeah, I guess that was one of the reasons you were there, but was it quite sort of touristy? Were there lots of tourists only there specifically to see that sort of stuff? Or would you say that Athens is worth visiting even if you're not necessarily interested in Greek?
I mean, the
mythology and
Parthenon is crawling with tourists, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's crawling makes it sound derogatory. I was also crawling around as a tourist. It's like the thing to do in Athens, right?
Yeah, cool.
It's the thing that everyone talks about. There's a lot of tourists there.
Yeah.
A lot of picture snapping going on.
Sure. How many days were you in Athens?
A full week.
A full week, just in one city?
Yeah, just in one city. But there, you know, for that one ticket, you see the Parthenon. There's a temple to Hephaestus, the blacksmith god. You can go and see the old temple of Zeus, which was, you know, a huge temple that's now in ruins.
Yeah.
There's the Olympiad. There's the Hadrian's Library. There's the old Agora. There's a lot of ruined sites to see.
Yeah.
I would say you have to have, I mean, at the very least, a passing interest in history. But really, to enjoy it, you want to be a bit of a history nerd.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I bet. And that is somewhere where I would like to go with you, because I feel like your passion and interest is infectious. And even though I would go and see that stuff, I know what I'm like, because the moment that we parted ways and I was going around Taiwan, South Korea and Japan, I would go to places that I maybe should have spent more time, had more of an interest in, read a few more plaques, shall we say. And I will talk about one of those in a later episode, Hiroshima in Japan, amazing place for obvious reasons. But I often found myself thinking, if Alun was here, you'd be getting a little bit more out of this.
I appreciate that. I the kind of travel that I identify with is travel where I'm accumulating skills, learning stuff. I wanted to learn a lot while I was there, but even by my reckoning, it was quite a historically dense adventure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I suppose if you're not interested in that sort of stuff, maybe it takes a slightly different form. But I mean, the ruins themselves took centre stage.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
And then what else did you do aside from that? Or was that sort of govern your whole trip?
Most of the trip, I also, the person who I was traveling with, they're a friend of mine, and they're about to go on a travel adventure of their own.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, really cool. I'm very proud of them. They've not done much travel outside of traveling with tours prior. So I was very much trying to like show them the travel ropes.
Yeah.
So a lot of the planning centered for me around going and seeing ruins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Athens, I think it's one of those funny ones, because a week was a long time to spend in one city.
Yeah.
But there was never any days where we didn't go and do stuff. There was ruins to see on every day. If I had my time again, maybe I packed it with a bit too much history. But
were there any areas of, or like neighbourhoods and stuff of Athens that you saw were kind of gentrified or going through sort of a, you know, hipster cafe type?
Yeah. There was a cafe that billed itself as the Athens' first and best vegan cafe, and the best vegan cafe in the world, they thought. And it was like exceptional. Like they did falafel wraps and things like that. It was pretty damn good. The person I was traveling with was the vegan.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't have much knowledge of Greek cuisine, but I know that it often involves quite a lot of meat.
Vegan souvlaki, man, it's a real thing.
Did you help yourself to an olive or two?
Oh, I had several olives. There was one, I have to tell this story, and maybe, you know, I'm not sure how she would feel about me telling this story on the podcast, but I tasked her with one night booking our accommodation.
Right.
I had absolutely, I mean, got lucky with the accommodation, but I'd knocked it out of the park, mate. I found an Airbnb, €75 a night, reduced to €20 a night, with a hot tub that overlooked the Parthenon of the Acropolis.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I mean, it's gangster, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I was like, Been traveling quite a long time. I've just booked us. It's €20 a night. This place cheaper than the hostel we were just staying at. Cool. Yeah, we go.
Well, you didn't have the like Tbilisi memory etched into your brain. It wasn't like traumatizing you. You thought Airbnb, cheap, reduced price. Is the kitchen on fire?
Well, a little tip for you with Airbnb is like our hostel was like expensive. It was like €15 each a night, something like that. So I went on Airbnb and saw that it was €75 reduced to €50 or whatever. But when I clicked on it, the price goes down even further. Oh, so click around.
Have you got like Genius level or some sort of Airbnb high rating? How's it work?
I think when they tell you it's £50 a night or whatever, they take into account the cleaning fee and the service fee, but that you only pay that once. So if you're booking for like 4 nights or 5 nights, obviously it's much cheaper.
Makes sense.
Little tip. One of those experiences that I'll remember forever is sitting in that hot tub overlooking the Acropolis. When I was there, I was like, this is like quite special.
Yeah.
Quite cool. So I tasked her with booking accommodation another night. I was like, you know what, you need to do that.
Yeah, share the responsibility.
Yeah. She booked it. To be fair, we were in a rush. She just booked it.
Yeah.
We arrived in the neighbourhood that she'd booked.
Yeah.
And there was someone actively shooting up with heroin at the side of the road, slumped. I was like, this seems dangerous, if anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's enough to turn you off.
Went into the apartment. There's like a sort of a mattress on the floor. It's like very, very dusty, damp bathroom. No internet.
Yeah.
No TV, nothing. I mean, I'm not a glamorous traveller.
Sure.
But running a travel podcast, I need the internet. So we actually had to just bounce straight, leave that accommodation, past the heroin user again.
Well, so you'd already like paid, obviously, Airbnb for this thing.
Yeah.
It just didn't turn out to be the place that you had seen on the pictures or what?
But I asked her about it. I was like, let's have a look at what you booked.
Yeah.
And in the thing that she'd booked, it said there was a swimming pool. It said Wi-Fi included.
And it was just completely different.
Yeah.
So, well, it's just not necessarily a scam. I guess it could be called a scam. But
would you look back on our booking emails and it said, oh, hi from booking.com, just letting you know there isn't actually a swimming pool. There was a mislabeled thing. So if there's a problem, let us know. So obviously she was able to let them know. And I think probably she got her money back.
You would hope so.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So it wasn't, to be fair to her, she was tasked with finding accommodation in Athens and she found us a place with a swimming pool. It just transpired to be slightly different. So I don't know what her learning curve or takeaway should be from that.
Yeah, well, it's difficult, isn't it? Especially when you see someone shooting up. I mean, obviously it's sad that person's, going through a time, but...
The area turned out to be notorious for prostitution and drug abuse. It's like the area in Athens that you should avoid.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't even...
I can't remember the name of the neighbourhood. We'll put it in the description, but yeah, it's like, don't stay there.
Yeah, I'm sure is that something you search out just so that you can avoid, is places where you shouldn't go in a city? Because I hold my hands up. I'm not sure I do that, to be honest. You just sort of hear through the grapevine when you arrive at a place, or maybe you shouldn't go to that area because it can be quite dangerous. But
I just later became aware of it because then we went to a cafe and I was searching for accommodation that we could move into that night.
Yeah.
And everyone
Well, how late was this when you were booking it? The second time?
It was dark, but probably about 6 p.m.
Oh, that's a bit too late, isn't it, to be finding somewhere to live?
A little bit tricky, yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't care if you were on your own or if it was me and you. Obviously, we've got that episode about Ahmedabad and just sleeping in the canteen of a hospital. But when you're with someone else who is a vegan, you want to make sure that they have somewhere to sleep.
There's been like a female traveller who's interested in solo travelling in the future, and obviously they're a friend of mine, and I'm the experienced traveller. I want to keep everyone safe.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
there's moments like that where you realise, like, oh, I have a responsibility to the team here to make this okay.
Yeah.
And I was looking at other accommodation, and every place in this area, the reviews were like, drug addicts kept us up at night. Like, someone knocked on our door and asked for crack at 3 a.m. That sort of thing. I think it's just a bad area of Athens.
Well, you do realise in those situations that when you're travelling with other people, I mean, Rajasthan being the main one, that when you're booking accommodation for not just someone else, but someone maybe who travels a little bit differently to you or who has different sort of expectations, that, I don't know, I was booking hotels that I thought were fine for me to sleep in, but they didn't think they were fine. And maybe they were like too dirty or didn't have the right facilities or all this kind of thing. You think, oh my God, am I just comfortable sleeping in shitholes?
It's important when you're traveling with someone to like find someone that has the same expectations as you.
To be aligned.
And to be totally fair to her, it was me that wanted to leave that place.
Okay.
Partly because I needed Wi-Fi and I just didn't feel good about it, right?
Yeah.
She would have stayed there if that was the option.
Yeah.
But yeah, finding someone that you're aligned with. Like, I know with me and you have slept in the worst hotel we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I still occasionally feel itchy at night because of that bed.
Yeah, it's the worst hotel room I've ever stayed in, maybe on a par with one in Hanoi all those years ago.
Yeah.
But that was quite pants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, though, you had a great time. It's worth going to Athens. It's a good destination to be with someone else.
It's one of those ones that I've had in my head as a place that I should have been for a long time, with the interest in history that I had. I'm really like... It was cool to see the temples to the gods that I saw in Disney's Hercules all those years ago.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a little chat about that in the Patreon, because I've got some questions I want to ask you.
Yeah, amazing. Well, let's go to the Patreon. If you're interested in seeing me peel a pistachio with a pair of chopsticks, you know how to get there. It's patreon.com/Tropology podcast. If you want to contact the show or read Adam's food blogs, it's tropologypodcast.com.
Yeah, and send us an email at tropologypodcast@gmail.com. Just reach out and say hi, and don't forget to rate the show. Please don't forget to rate the show. It really helps us out.
Tasks that we'd like you to do. Please
on top of just listening.
Yeah, just listen to the show, share it with friends. Yeah, we're going to go off to the Patreon now. We'll see you there.
I don't fancy your chances. Bye-bye.
Bye.